You're here for a fundraiser, but the talk right now is about the upcoming elections and how you're a rising star and expected to do very well in the elections. What is your view about the general political situation in Pakistan? Where does Pakistan go from here? What's the future like?
Well, most of us think Pakistan. We used to always hear that Pakistan is at crossroads. Now I think this is the first time where everyone recognizes that it's at crossroads. We could either through this election bring about a major change and change the way Pakistan has been run so far, or we could the status quo parties could take us down with them, because all of them are in power, have been in power frequently. And basically, their leadership has got richer, the country has got poorer. So I think it's, in my opinion, it will be a landmark election in Pakistan's history. It will be the first time out of almost 85 million voters, registered voters, 40 million voters will vote for the first time. I mean, this is the sort of demographic change that has happened in the country. Half the population is below the age of 25. Almost 70% of population is below the age of 35. So there will be 40 million new voters there, and this is the vote for change. And this is where we think we will be able to win the elections. So this is the X factor. Secondly, it's the first time we have an independent Supreme Court. And as a result, first time we have a very strong election commission, protected by an independent Supreme Court. And then for the first time, we have the electronic media playing a big part in the elections. We have, I don't know, about 20, 30 channels now, but there are 5 or 6 big channels. The most popular programs are current affairs. So you will have a very politically aware public going to vote. And so therefore this is where I think that the reason why my party has grown dramatically and broken through the two-party system is because of all these factors which I've cited. So I think this will be a landmark election, and I think we will win the elections simply because people want to change. There was a Pew poll, or IRI, International Republic Institute survey, and 80% of people felt they wanted a change. So this is our strength. We are the only party that's not been tested. All the other parties are either in power in the center or the provinces.
How is your planning for the elections coming along? Have you identified some electable winning candidates?
Well, there are 2 ways of contesting elections in Pakistan. There have been. One is the normal constituency-based politician. You select enough electables, and then you win the elections through them. And then because the electables then have this power to blackmail the government, then their ministries up to 50, 60, 70 people become ministers, which negates governance. The other is, which has happened at a national level only once, and it was Zulfikar Ali Bhutto in 1970, where he basically, whoever stood on his ticket won. And so it was not, he did not rely on the candidates, it was a movement where the party ticket got a vote, and he defeated very powerful electables. That's the model, the only model we can apply to win the elections, to bring about a change. So if we want to change, it's the only model. Otherwise, we too will be blackmailed by the electables. So if you want to do politics of change, it's the only model to have. And I think it'll be a bigger wave than in 1970 this time, because the desire for change is much greater now.
But you have a few well-known names who have joined your party, the former foreign minister. Is there any disconnect among the large youth gathering that you also have? Because these people are part of the old establishment as well. So do you have to kind of play a balancing role to kind of tell them they are necessary and why?
In the past 10, 11 months, this has been a bit of a problem, because there was a lot of resistance from within the party, because they did not want to have, there was a resistance against anyone belonging to the old political system. And then the young people, the youth in Pakistan is idealistic and just wants to see a new party. But as the leader of a party, I have to balance, just like in a cricket team, you have to balance sometimes youth and experience. So in a political party, you've got to balance it. In the end, I as a leader have to work out that in the end, I've got to deliver good governance. And for good governance, you need this mix. You can't just have people who don't understand the ABC of how to run a government. And then, so therefore you need that blend. And then the best of the political lot came to us, because only those who could declare their assets and the amount of taxes they paid, only they could have dared to come into a party, because we have, all the senior leadership in our party has declared their assets and their taxes and of their children and spouses, and we put it on our website. So we first put ourselves under the scrutiny, public scrutiny, before going, holding other people accountable. So we decided that we will, start with a lead by example. Now, then there's another thing we've done, which no other party in Pakistan's history has ever done. The first party that is holding intra-party elections. So we also thought that the best way to know what our members wanted was to first hold a membership campaign and then hold the party elections. So we held this big membership campaign, and our membership is touched 10 million, which is unprecedented. And then out of them to form an electoral rolls has been a gigantic task. So out of them we got an electoral list of about 7 million. Now from 7 million members, we are having intra-party elections, which started 10 days ago. So by about middle of January, we hope to complete the process of intra-party elections. Then we will have the only party that will have elected leadership, and it will have elected positions, 80,000 elected positions in the party. And this is starting from the bottom tier. And so this will do two things. One, we will understand what our members want, what sort of people they want to have elected. And number two, what it will do is it will give us district organizations who will recommend who to give party tickets to. So we will know exactly, the key for us to winning the election is that we give tickets to the right candidates. If we get that right, we will sweep the elections. If we get that wrong, we lose the elections. It's as simple as that. So if our candidates reflect what our party stands for, change, then we'll win the elections. If the face of the candidate does not reflect the party's ideology, we lose. So therefore, that's why we took this big risk of holding intra-party elections, because we thought the only way to know what do our members want is through elections. It's a big risk. No one has ever done this before. There's always a chance of you splitting the party when you do this. But we thought, come what may, we're going to go through this process. If we come out of it, and let me say it's been the hardest thing we've ever done. I never realized it'd be so tough. But once we come out of this, no party will be able to beat us. Because all other parties are family limited companies. They're not political parties. The father goes, then the son comes. 10 members of Nawaz Sharif family are in key positions. His daughter and Shahbaz Sharif's son are already now prominent places in the party. They've already become leaders. So it doesn't matter there's no merit in those parties. In the case of Asif Zardari, his son Bilawal Zardari has become Bilawal Bhutto, and then At 18 was inherited the party from his mother. So here's supposed to be a democracy. He's inherited the party. And then Asad Zardari's sisters are in key positions running the party. And same as in ANP, it's the same Wali Khan family which is ruling, Fazlur Rahman, so all these are family-based, we don't call them political parties, because they've never held elections, everything is nominated. This is the first time you will have a democratically elected party, which will mean that the other members of the other parties are going to start putting pressure on their leadership, that why not us? So it's going to set new trends in Pakistan.
You mentioned the poll that said 80% wants change. There was another poll which has you as the most popular leader for the last 2 years, 2010, 2011. There's this great momentum going. You had those 2 big rallies last year. You're being touted as either kingmaker or the future prime minister. There's a difference between campaigning and governing. So, if you are in power, how do you expect to meet that challenge and stick to the things that you've said you will do?
You've seen what's happened to Mohammad Morsi in Egypt. He came on a big wave. And
you see, the difference is there's campaigning is a different art and skill altogether to how to win the elections. To run a government is completely a different skill. So this is the only party, again, in Pakistan's history which has come up with detailed policy papers before coming into power. What happens is the other parties first come into power and then start working out, on policy. This is the first time a party is working on the major issues, 12 major issues that we've identified in Pakistan: energy, economy, education, health, public transport, local government. Local government is the key to good governance. So anyway, we worked out 12 major issues that need to be addressed immediately in the first 90 days. It's the only time a party's ever done that. Never has this been done before. Zulfikar Ali Bhutto was exactly what happened to Morsi. He too came into power in just 4 years. And then he was all over the place. He couldn't deliver good governance. So this is the big difference. And by the way, we are the only party that has the street power now to bring down any government. Last summer there was such bad load shedding. There was no electricity. Factories were closing. People were out in the streets. All we had to do was give one call and we would have brought the government down. But we realized that we are not ready. So it would be wrong to sort of come into power when you actually are not ready for making those reforms which you promised. So we are aware of it. Not only are we having detailed policy papers, we are also doing something which has never been done before, identifying people who would head government corporations which are bleeding the Pakistan economy. Not only will we depoliticize them, but we are looking for professionals already we've identified who will run these big corporations. Same by depoliticizing the police, the bureaucracy, the best, most competent bureaucrats which will head key positions in the government. I mean, in the civil service, in the police, in the lower judiciary, because we will eventually be judged by whether we are able to deliver or not. And so we're already planning that. That's why actually we haven't pushed for elections, because, I mean, situation has never been as bad as it is now in Pakistan. So we would have been justified as a political party to hold mass demonstrations and bring the government down. The government is very fragile. There is no governance in Pakistan right now. So we are the only party which had the strength to do so, bring them down.